On this program, we've gone into great detail explaining the economic war facing our nation and our families. We focus on solutions. We've explained that there are multiple wars underway, 3 economic wars, in fact. Number 1, we talk about it all the time, the foreign war, which is against China and the axis of evil. Number 2, we talk about the domestic war, which is funny because it's really about globalists and elitists and the World Economic Forum, and they want to subjugate you. The third war is the hardest to win, but it is the most important. It'll be the focus of this episode. Literally, the hope of the U.S. Our American future hinges on winning this war. And as mentioned earlier, the secret uncovered by the boy king over 2,600 years ago tells us how. Now, the foreign war is obvious, but it's not been always so obvious. In fact, when I was working in the Pentagon 2008 through 10 as a consultant, they told me that China is our friend, they're our banker, they're more Christian, they're more capitalist than we are. I knew better. In fact, I spoke at the Heritage Foundation, pointed out Chinese unrestricted warfare. Somebody walked up to me, handed me a card, said, China Studies Professor at Georgetown. I looked at it and I said, you're PLA, aren't you? Yes, she was. Now, we're uncovering spies daily. Senator Feinstein had a driver who would take her back and forth, Chinese spy. Hunter Biden's secretary, who urged his father, Joe Biden, to run for president, may have ties to the Chinese Communist Party. And Congressman Swalwell's relationship with Fang Fang, a suspected Chinese operative. These aren't minor details, and they're not limited to politics. We have corporate espionage. We have financial market manipulation, including accessing our capital to pay for their weapons development. They've gotten special favors. They've stolen intellectual property. They've influenced our border policy through the cartels and their drugs, fentanyl. China has grown from 1/10 the size of the American economy in 1999. Basically, they were the size of Italy's economy, to the second largest in the world, and some say are rivaling the American economy. And they unleashed the greatest economic weapon in history, COVID. It was unleashed on the world. If it wasn't designed as a bioweapon, it certainly functioned as one. Now, there's a new Senate report out that does suggest that this may have leaked from a lab. Regardless of where it came from, it's caused incalculable damage. It's caused damage to our health. It's divided America. Remember the BLM riots in the middle? And China funded a lot of that. Remember the economic shutdown. It's caused government debt, inflation. And it's not just China. Russia, Iran, North Korea. And they've been courting allies like India and Saudi Arabia. They've created division by the war in Ukraine. And one of their major targets is American dollar hegemony. That means the American dollar, which is the prominent currency of the world. They want to end that. And you know what? We're making it easy for them. We have $31 trillion in debt now. You know, in 2008, when I first started consulting on economic warfare, our debt was just $10 trillion. It's up dramatically. Last year, the total interest we paid on our debt was just $378 billion, just. But that was 1.3% interest rates. You know, interest rates are now approaching 5%. At $31 trillion in debt, that's approximately $1.5 trillion we pay in interest only. What if interest rates went to 10%? We'd pay $3 trillion. That's almost all the tax receipts we take in. The goal is to end American economic power and replace the U.S. dollar with a central bank digital currency known as the digital yuan. Now, the domestic enemy, equally insidious. They want to replace American exceptionalism and individual liberty with a globalist technocracy. This is the dream of the elites for decades.